unfair criticism and harsh judgment just because you are somebody's son or seeing somebody or doing something, that is unfair.
In a lot of paparazzi videos, you will notice a male celebrity and a female celebrity, and the male celebrity will always be called so and so sir, but the woman who is of the same age will never be called so and so ma'am.
Hi everyone, this is Avinash Lohana and you're watching Pinkvilla. I'm in conversation with Equilibrium Returns duo Arjun Kapoor and Tara Sutaria. Hi guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So I would like to begin this interview by going to a conversation that I had with Arjun a few years ago. He told me something which I really think was very valuable back then. He said, no actor is above a Friday, which is very, very true. However, ever since then a lot has changed, with the influx in the digital space. There's so much happening on the OTT. Do you think that Friday is losing its charm?
I don't think so. I think even more so. I feel the Friday charm is even more now because there is a clear demarcation that there is a bigger audience out there to see all sorts of material.
Yeah.
So today you know that if you're inviting people enough to the theatres and they're coming, that means your product is worth taking them out of their house and coming. So the Friday charm is even more because the people that are coming in despite having options to sit at home and watch.
Sure.
So there is a definite extra validation today because you have been able to pull them out of their comfort zone and bring them into a feeling of home almost.
Yeah.
And that is what theatres for me always were, going and feeling like you're sitting at home and watching it with 300 people as a family.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if I can get you off the couch, and there is a population in this world now today that is working very, very hard and they don't like to make that extra effort when they have a remote available to watch stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the charm is very much alive. It's even more so now. There is a different conversation that needs to be had about what works on that Friday and what doesn't. But
I was just going to ask you that. How do you decide this is a theatrical release and this is a theatrical release?
You have to allow the industry and the profession some time to also come to terms with the change of audience's taste. I mean, it's a very serious answer, but I have to tell you, there is a demarcation created कि South की पिक्चरें चल रही है और हिंदी पिक्चरें नहीं चल रही है. ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. उनकी पिक्चरें हिंदी लैंग्वेज में चल रही हैं और उन एरियाज में चल रही है जहाँ पे हिंदी ज़्यादा बोली जाती है. That means they are making films that are universal. They're being dubbed in our voice and they're working, including the Avengers when they come.
Yeah.
Whether a Thor or a Doctor Strange are doing 100 crores plus, that includes dubbed versions.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is a definite thrust of the mainstream audience that wants to go to the theatre.
Yeah.
We have not given them enough content because 5 years back before COVID, the multiplexes were giving a lot more output in terms of money to us.
Yeah.
And every corporate will always look at the bottom line. And then what happens is you're making content skewered towards a lot more credibility and getting the more expensive seats sold versus the slightly perhaps cheaper seats sold. The taste had evolved into also being that. Now with the platforms coming in, that sort of content is more accessible from the world over to us sitting at home. So perhaps those kind of films might not always pan out at those numbers. But the mainstream stuff is still working big time. We've done over 1,500 crores business overall since Gangubai's released now. And I'm not even including the English films. I'm saying between Gangubai, Bhool Bhulaiya, KGF, Pushpa, RRR. We've done over 1,500 crores in box office. Yes, films have not worked in the middle. But we had skewered into more multiplex material as Hindi cinema.
Yeah.
But the South films have done actually what we have done for years. They accept that they are making films of years back how Amit ji's films were. Trishul and Diwar. And when you see RRR, it's like watching a proper, it's a pan-India film for a reason because language is cut. It is, you can understand the emotion. So I think Friday की value बहुत है यार Avinash. That will never go away. We have to also realize that you have to serve. You have to know which audience you're making films for. You can't. अब आप ऐसे ही नहीं बना सकते picture. You need to know what film deserves to go where. We will learn that. 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year. I think we'll all be able to make better choices out of it. But it's a very technical thing. I don't know how many people will understand that we are also allowed to learn.
Yeah, of course. Tara, how do you look at this change? My question stems from a cinema lover. I love cinema. I love going to a theatre and watching
I'll be
films.
honest with you, that's kind of my answer. I feel like this country thrives on the movies and the music that they create in the movies, and that is something. So your question was, does the magic of the movies really go? Has that Friday feeling gone? No, I don't think it ever will. Not in our country. Never. Yes, it's been a very rough few years because of the current climate and the climate that has been happening through COVID. I think there's been a seismic shift in what the audiences want to see. It's important that we understand that, accept that. I think it's very hard for a lot of us in the industry to understand that the changing tastes of the people, but we have to respect it because that's what gives you your Fridays, that's what gives you the love, and that's what makes the industry thrive. I do feel it's a wonderful change as well. It can be heartbreaking, of course, when your films don't work, but I think it's wonderful to finally understand that content really truly is king.
You have a line in the film, it says, I want fame, money and luxury because I deserve it and I'll get it. It's so easy to judge a character like that, right? But it's not wrong to be ambitious.
So to be honest, we all have lines like that, which is what, so our characters have strange similarities and yet they're poles apart, to be honest with you. Whether it's ambition or greed or all sorts of what we would say negative emotions and connotations to people, all of our characters have that, which all of us in real life also have, but we just never attempt in the
this
movies.
Generation, this generation, and I'm slightly older than her, so even more so now, I don't think people care so much if you're liked by everybody or not. That phase now that we are in society today, especially in our country, the youth doesn't really want to please everybody with the way they are. They want to have an opinion, they want to be their own people. They don't want to rest upon what they've been conditioned. They want to make their own decisions and they want to take chances, and they don't mind facing the wrath of a few. That is what that grey area is very interesting in our film also, because these are all characters that you will find an understanding of. They're set in modern times. Maybe 8-10 years back when Ek Villain came was still a different era in comparison to what it is today.
Correct.
The social media generation is very different.
Very different. But Arjun, even with you, you play this spoiled brat who has a rich dad, and I know for a fact it's far from what you are in real life. But you have a certain lineage to your name. Does that make people feel that they don't see the hardship that you have gone through?
I do not expect everybody to understand or know what I've been through, and it's maybe not important for them to know everything, but I would also want them to know that I'm very respectful about where I come from. I don't misuse it. I don't want to be construed as somebody who misuses my surname or my lineage. I give it utmost importance to know that I will be willing to respect everybody equally, work as hard as the other person. I will not disown where I'm from, but I will never misuse it. And I think that's the only thing I would like people to always know, that I'm somebody who's very, very aware that I'm blessed. And I will never ever misuse it to put somebody else down or take somebody else's opportunity away. I have never done that. I put myself in front of the audience in my first film and I said, "Aap bataiye, you want to see more of me or not?" And they gave me an answer and I continued from there. I have never stepped on anybody's toes. I do not take my work for granted. I work very, very hard, and yes, I have grown up in a far more comfortable environment than most. And I've grown up within the industry. I've had my own struggles. But I do not take things for granted, and I'm not disinterested or detached. I think that's the only thing I would want people to know is that I care. I'm not
he
somebody
really
who
does.
doesn't
Like
do it.
honestly, like I see some very silly, daft comments. Sometimes you put up a picture together, and some people will say some really, really daft things, and I'm like, you don't know this person. I have had the great pleasure of knowing him for the last how long?
2 years.
2 years now. And when I see these comments, and this is what we call trolling. And sure, they're nameless, faceless people. We can keep saying that, but they really should know. Like what he just said is so true. A lot of people ask me about even this nepotism debate, which I mean, we shouldn't even get into. But to be honest with you, he really does work very hard. Everybody that I've had the good fortune of working with have come from film families. To be honest with you, I've always been the outsider, if you want to call it that. But he works his butt off, and he is very dedicated, and he does an amazing job. And I just think people should know that. So if you guys are watching this, please hear that and know that.
That's very different from what my character is, but that's the fun. I would like, if people want to associate Arjun Kapoor ने बहुत आसानी से रोल कर दिया, so be it.
Correct.
For now, I will win them over eventually. It's okay. But I'm nothing like what I play in the film. I'm not like how I was in Ishaq Zadeh.
Correct.
I'm not that person that you saw in Gunde, for example. I'm not. I am an actor and I do play different roles. What happens is I'm misconstrued for my surname very often. What happens is I'm misconstrued for my personal life even more often. And the fact that I'm physically not exactly up to what Indian standards of a man should be, just because I'm broader than most other contemporaries of mine, or just because I unfortunately put on a bit of weight in the process of it. I also have the ability to lose it. I don't see enough people respecting people for accepting the way they look. I think people just have a preconceived notion of how people should be. Yes, in my film, I need to look a part. If I'm saying yes to a film to play a role, then it is my responsibility. Then I need to look that part. So when I do a film where I have to show a certain physicality, and if I feel that is my failure, you must question me on that. how I am off camera is not anybody's prerogative.
Correct. But I want to say it on camera, Arjun, this new look is kick-ass.
Thank you.
Isn't this his best look ever?
Ever.
I feel
Thank
like this
you.
is his best
Ever
look
in
in
caps.
real life and on screen. And
Thank
you
you.
guys will see that in the film. Like, he looks amazing.
I agree. But Arjun, like I said, you're looking really good.
Thank
Like you always have. But these comments don't stop coming in. Does that bother you now? Or now you're like, "Okay, chalo jao yaar."
How do I explain it without sounding like I'm above it all? Which you get used to it very early in your profession, that your personal life and your professional life is always going to be judged. Okay? This profession is not for people who don't accept that. Criticism and judgment is one thing. Unfair criticism and harsh judgment just because you are somebody's son or seeing somebody or doing something, that is unfair. You see my work, you don't like it, आप मेरी ऑडियंस हो, आपने 200, 300, 400 रुपए खर्च किए, आपकी क्रिटिसिज्म सर आंखों पे, मैं सीखूंगा, मैं और मेहनत करूंगा।
Yeah.
आपको अगर मेरा सरनेम पसंद नहीं और मेरी शक्ल पसंद नहीं तो मैं शक्ल बदल नहीं सकता, ना मैं अपना सरनेम बदल सकता हूँ। उस वजह से आप मुझसे नफरत करोगे और कुछ लिख दोगे तो मैं उसे कैसे तूल दूँ? और जो आप लिखते हो, half the people that write about it, they sit with their bunch of friends while they're chilling and they're like, oh see, I can put something on Alia's thing, I can write something on Arjun's thing, and they're giggling and laughing. मैं उनके घर के बाहर जाके नोटिस बोर्ड पे लगा दूंगा कुछ उनके लाइफ के बारे में। अगर कुछ भी बोल दिया मैंने,
Correct.
वो घर से बाहर ना निकल पाए।
That's true.
और मैं बोलता हूँ आपको इतना बुरा लगता है हम मेरे बारे में कि मैं जिंदा भी हूँ या whatever it is, how I am conducting myself, come and say to my face. I'll be able to handle it. I'm not afraid. But if you want to sit behind a keyboard and take out your frustration, see at the end of the day, Virat Kohli also gets trolled. Yeah, he's a person who's achieved so much. Anybody can get trolled. You can't give it that much importance. It has reduced drastically since villains trailers come out. I'm very, very happy about it. But people will still have an opinion about certain things. It's okay. Like I said, मेरे काम के बारे में बात करोगे, I'll learn from it. If you just don't like who I am, you don't need to follow me and you don't need to check what I'm up to. That's you're making a choice to follow me and then hate on me. It's quite dumb. Like you're wasting a lot of time to know about people you don't like and then write about them. I think you should do something better with your life than just keep writing.
I agree. One time we also spoke about pay parity and you told me, in Panipat agar Kriti ka naam mere saath aata to I'll be honored about that.
Of course, yeah.
You think has anything changed in how, we respect female co-stars today in the business? And
see,
Tara...
Now this is something where you are a portal. It starts from there. Arjun Kapoor's Ek Villain Returns is coming.
Yes.
If you start writing everybody's names equally, if you do not say Ranbir Kapoor Shamshera is releasing on 22nd, if you start saying Vani Kapoor, Ranbir Kapoor and Sanjay Dutt, it makes a big difference in the way the audience also perceives the female counterparts in our profession.
I agree.
I'm not saying the industry is not, but I'm saying it's a very big starting point to the culture of even the way we write about it, the way we speak about it. Pay parity comes from being rewarded for your films doing well. That's a different conversation. Recoveries, that's a business conversation. But respect of the co-actor. If I would like to give it, I would also hope that the media also takes it forward. That is, I think that's a very important in between that gets missed.
Fair point.
So I think it has to start somewhere from there. The pay parity, if your films are doing well, say today Alia Bhatt is given Gangubai. She has every right to be demanding whatever she wants, and it must be more than a lot of us. Again, this is not me being specific, it's being general.
Sure.
There is you earn your right. There is a time where you will earn your money, and it is not even about parity. Nobody needs to know who's making what. You should be paid your worth. You have to prove your worth, and then you should be paid it.
Makes sense.
In this industry, the women have had lesser chances to prove their worth. That is the thing. Now there is a bigger opportunity. It is not equal.
There's also a conversation about it that's begun very recently in the recent few years.
Correct.
5 saal bhi nahi hua, I think 5-7 years.
Yeah, probably
so
not
I think
even.
we need to give it another 15 years actually to really see the results.
Let's hope not. Let's hope it's a much shorter span.
In terms of if you look at it, the payoff of this conversation will happen in the due course of
But actually what Arjun was saying is so true that, when you change the conversation, when you do, for example, it's just a given, I feel, in society to greet a gentleman before you greet a lady. In fact, I've grown up in a household of very, very strong women who have opinions, who are in every sense of the word equal and treated with a great deal of respect and love. So I've never understood the concept of inequality, which I do find, yes, it's true. In our industry, most things are unequal. It depends on who you work with, of course. And I've experienced it personally myself, so I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. It is changing for sure, and I hope it's not.
That's what I want to ask. Is it changing? Because you would really have that first-hand experience. Is it changing?
Slowly. much slower than I think it probably should. If it were the other way around and things needed to change for a man, it would have been much faster. I can tell you that.
But see, pay parity is one aspect. I think just parity of considering equal की बात होती है. मैं बस बोल रहा हूँ यार, when we're talking about films, when we're talking about things, what happens? The conversation is always more skewed towards it being a hero-driven profession.
Yeah.
When I did Panipat, I think Kriti is an equal part of that film.
Yeah.
Yes, I have more screen time. Sanjay Dutt is also part of the film. I'm not saying that she should be above or below. I'm saying it has to be balanced in the way it is perceived also.
Yeah.
Perception of the third person, that is the media and the audiences, comes from also changing the way you guys see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only you, I'm saying everybody.
Everybody in the media is so instrumental in changing the perspective and narrative.
I think if that narrative has to be pushed, the questions can be asked, but what is happening at the back end, which is more important, to push the narrative in the right direction also is important, because pay parity is very subjective.
And honestly, it can be small things. It doesn't need to be some huge conversation about the big things that we're doing wrong. It can be about the small things and the small differences we can make. Like, for example, I've noticed this in a lot of paparazzi videos. You will notice a male celebrity and a female celebrity, and the male celebrity will always be called so and so sir. But the woman who is of the same age will never be called so and so ma'am, because she's just not given that. And not that we want that respect. We're all very young. We don't want to be called ma'am or G or anything, right? But it's this very general sense of the man is greater, and so he must be given more respect. And that's what I'm saying. It comes from small things like that. I think if we just change that, it could move mountains.
Let's hope it does.
Yes.
Y'all are doing great work. The lineup of films that y'all have done recently, y'all are doing in the future, whether it's Equal and Returns or Yes Kutte, you have so many interesting projects in the lineup, which I know I can't mention at this point.
Thank you.
But so much is happening in your personal life and your professional life. Are you all happy in the space that y'all are at this point?
Yeah.
Arjun said, I feel good recently, so I know.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I'm back to loving myself, and I was missing that. So it's important, not in the narcissistic, fun sort of way that she's thinking. Like,
No, I'm not.
I'm genuinely feeling, she jokes about the fact that I'm obsessed with the way I'm looking these days. But it comes from a part that I do want to love myself more, because it's helping me be in a better place, and I deserve to love myself, because I think I've been through enough ups and downs in life where I can be stable and calm about being proud of what I've achieved. It's not always been for me about being number one or number two. It's about being my own independent person in a profession where my family has a legacy.
Yeah.
I think I've made a mark 10 years in. I've been put down, I've risen up, I've given hits, I've given flops, but I'm a survivor, I've survived. So I'm in a very happy place that I have been able to find my equilibrium after 10 years now. So I'm just hoping I can hold on to it. I've gone back to being more impulsive, more instinctive. I've gone back to being that child at heart who loves film. So my selection of material is coming more from who I was before I became an actor versus what people expect me to do or what the people around me tell me I should be doing. It's coming from a more personal space. Perhaps it's a lot to do with the fact that 2 years of COVID allowed me to be at home and also think and work on myself and reconnect with myself. I was very fatigued emotionally, working on about almost 15 films in the space of 7-8 years. Sometimes you take one step back to be able to take 10 steps forward, and I think I've reached that place where I don't mind taking a step back every now and again to move forward.
I'm happy to know that.
Thank you.
Tara?
Yeah, I feel like there was a phase maybe about 6-7 months ago that I felt very, like Arjun said, fatigued about certain things that were happening in my work life and just generally as well. And I feel very happy to have come out of that, and I feel at peace with myself, at peace with the film that I'm promoting now. I feel overjoyed that we're so close to the release of what I think is a film I'm proudest of in my career. I'm working on a couple of projects that are making me very proud of what I'm doing, and it's the stuff that I've always wanted to do, never have done, but I'm finally taking on what I really believe is my true worth and is my true self. Personally, I feel very, very, very myself more than ever, because I'm, apart from obviously acting and all of that, I'm taking on a few initiatives and businesses that I've always wanted to do, and I feel like it's the right time in my life to begin that. I've always wanted to start everything early in life, and I'm just happy that I get the opportunity to do that now.
Can't wait to see that. Well, thank you so much, guys. Like I said, there's a lot of buzz around Equal and Returns, and people are excited to see it. I can't wait to see it myself.
Even I can't wait to see it.
Even I can't.
You haven't seen it?
I've seen it, but I can't wait to finally see it on the big screen.
Absolutely.
The way it's supposed to be seen.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Arjun Kapoor.
I was going to say I'm Arjun Kapoor.
But she wants to be Arjun Kapoor, but she's Tara Sutaria. And if you like this video, please like, share and
subscribe.
yeah, for Tara Sutaria and Arjun Kapoor's banter.